Really, Streamart, you really got to let us continue that song. That would be a banger to let Mike roll into his song. All right, Mike, go for it.
Yeah, it will be a banger. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a firework firing. COVID-MANIA running wild. Matthew McConaughey. All right. An episode of the Brothers of Discussion. Yeah. We're going to hit you with some Wednesday night war coverage, bitch. I don't know. You're a nice person if you're listening. We're going to update you on this week's Rumble winner feelings. Sometimes
we lost all of our viewers when you said that. Go ahead.
When I said a cuss? Oh, no. We're going to update you on this week's Rumble winner feelings, man, because every week there's a new feeling. Oh, I don't know what I'm feeling. What are you feeling? I don't know. I'm feeling somebody else. Matt, we're going to continue Bugenhagen watch. My God. How can we let that go a few weeks without being discussed?
I totally forgot about it.
I'll give you some time to scramble and put it back together. Matt, we're also going to make time, of course, for our David moment of the week. Quite a few contenders, but only one can win the coveted David moment of the week. And Matt, I don't know. That might be it. We're going to see if we can fit all that into a power hour of discussion here. As usual, Matt, I actually had pepper jack cheese for dinner. So it was a hot and spicy week of pro wrestling. Matt, how are things over at the Casa de Eddie and the player to be named later?
I just thought it was interesting that you said, and as usual, I had pepper jack cheese. Like, that's okay. Normally, Mike's having pepper jack. I can get down with that. Things are going good over at the house that Eddie built. I don't know what to say there. Mike, I'm going to be. I should probably turn off this hockey game because I'm already super distracted by it. I closed it out. I did a bad Red Wing fan thing, but I did it. I closed it out. It's gone. I've been distracted by that all day, Mike. You know that we run the Red Wings Rant podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network.
Yes,
We've been putting together season previews, episode previews today. We've been getting videos together.
We've been doing season previews for 8 fucking months. Now we get real games. This is exciting.
Yeah, so all that stuff has been rolling around my brain all day today, and then I, after getting ready for the Red Wings game to watch it at like maybe 6 o'clock today, maybe 5:30, I went, "Oh fuck, we've got pro wrestling to talk on Thursday."
Oh no, wrestling! How could you? No,
damn it!
I want to watch my last place Red Wings so badly.
It's still real to me. All right. Yeah, I mean that's where my head's at. I gotta. It's gonna be a rough day. I know it. Hey, good old Warren. Shared our stuff, so we have a lot of viewers now. So how's everybody doing? But yeah, again, I'm lamenting about how horrible it is being a Red Wings fan. But let's talk pro wrestling since all these wrestling fans are here. Mike, you ready to talk COVID-MANIA running wild on Monday Night Raw?
I don't know. There's probably a less offensive way to put that, but it happened to our beloved WWE champion, Matt, and half the roster was gone. Whoever was left, the ultimo hombre, as they say in Espanol, they're all doing double time, Matt. We got multiple Riddle matches. We had so many matches you could have said Riddle wrestled and Matt Riddle wrestled. So many Riddles were going on. Sheamus got 2 segments. Man, we haven't seen that since I don't know, maybe since he was, punching Daniel Bryan in the face. Keith Lee got 2 matches. MVP had to wrestle. My God, he had to suit up, and he had to suit up. He had to suit up in 2 different meanings of the word, Matt.
So my thing was a week previous. This is where I thought the conversation was going to go. Everybody was sharing. Oh boy, I hope Drew wasn't in contact with anybody over 70 over the last week. And then, of course, attaching him to every picture where
Legends
with
Week.
Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan.
Oh, no.
Oh, fuck. No, geez, I really hope Hulk Hogan's okay. Anyway, I mean, it goes like this. This was the problem, right? So we've been talking for months about not only should they even be wrestling, but then state and federal government, and to think that Florida state government would actually care about anything going on in regards to COVID in their state, but they actually investigated the WWE. Mike, this just tells me that there was probably absolutely nothing in regards to any sort of protocol. This is my hot take, that there wasn't anything going on in regards to protocol on that Legends night, because I mean,
I'm kind of curious who was doing the investigating. Was it Maxwell Smart? Was it Inspector Gadget? Who did the Florida brass tacks send out to investigate this one for us?
It's Clouseau, right? Was
it Clouseau? Was it the Hamburglar? Was it the Repo Man? Was he coming to collect some people, Matt?
So
did IRS go? Well, no. Okay, that's
like, I think right now we get to sit here and we go, thank God, like Drew isn't affected by this, like some other folks. Man, I was just listening to an executive for the NHL this morning talking about how he got COVID. And his response was the right one. He responded with, I did have, I had a few symptoms, but I know it could have been worse. But he said the thing in my head wasn't, if I got through this, other people can. It was just, thank God, it was so much lesser from what I had to deal with compared to what other people are dealing with. And I need to use this to make sure how easy it was for me to catch it moving forward in the NHL. So this was Christmas Eve. We just know the NHL started yesterday. He said, moving forward, we're going to have way more stringent, protocol and whatever we need to do to get people into these. And we're talking hockey players, not fans, but getting people into these arenas to play hockey. Everything's got to be to a T. And it was like, holy shit, that not, you don't want the worst to happen to have somebody make a change, but it does look like he got COVID and he's making those right decisions after that. So here's the thing. We're disappointed in the WWE. I'm taking my hot take and saying, wow, half the locker room was out after Legends night. We could look at those things as a coincidence, or we can try to make connections with it. Sure, that means I have an aluminum cap on and we're creating conspiracy theories. But here's the thing. We could do that all day long. We could joke about it.
Yeah.
But Mike, what we better not see is another outbreak in the next couple of weeks. This has to be a wake-up call, like it was for that NHL executive who's Bill Daly. I'm not trying to hide him or anything. He's right below Gary Bettman, who is the commissioner of the NHL. So take one step down.
Yeah.
That's how high that guy is. I'm saying for the WWE, that's the kind of response I need to see. I didn't need to see Drew McIntyre come on there and say what a serious thing this is, because it's not on Drew McIntyre. It's never on Drew McIntyre. It's on everybody that's running the WWE. So they need to come out and have a real statement. That don't parade Drew around so that he's like, oh, it's all Drew's fault. I know that's not what they said, but when he's on a screen, all alone, white background, and it's almost as if he's apologetic. I
wish Drew could have been curled up next to a fire, on a bearskin rug, and with his cats walking all over him,
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than wearing a mask, except maybe petting this cute kitty, Let's be safe out there, WWE Universe.
That's right. That's the ideal. But no, I mean, you guys know what I'm saying. I'm not really. I'm not saying anything here that's gonna.
I just every time that we kind of criticize one of these mega corporations for their, stance on this epidemic, pandemic. I mean, we kind of enable it by watching every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Right.
So I guess I don't really know how hypocritical that makes me to judge them. I think the best way I heard it put was most of these companies are not aiming for the A plus like presentation and reaction and action taken. They're going for a C plus, and what that means is that a few of the guys are wearing masks, but maybe their noses are showing. Maybe there's the fans are just there virtually on little TV screens, but we still had our wrestlers interact with the Legends division, and in one swoop we almost took out every WWE legend. I can't think of a more like horribly timed event than to have Legends Week when there's another bump in COVID numbers. But silver lining, Matt, what we got to see is Matt Riddle with 2 wrestling matches, and he had multiple comedy segments. So this is a lot like when the Avengers all went down and we got to watch an Ant-Man movie. So at least we know if the rest of the roster is out of commission, Matt Riddle, the Ant-Man himself, could come out and bro his way into our hearts.
So real quick, Mike, like I said, we got a few new viewers, but I do want to shout out to C. Fosterling, because I do not recognize your name here, so I want to give you an opportunity here to throw out a question, because we do have on our banner. Send us your questions in the chat. Mike, pretty plain and simple. AEW or NXT, which is better? Now, C. Fosterling, I implore you to stick around to listen to our Wednesday Night Wars discussion, which we always finish up the show with, where we will pick each week who are better, who the better show was each week, and we've got. All right, I go one way, Mike goes the other. I tend to think that if you're looking for better pro wrestling, you go to NXT. If you're looking for more pomp and circumstance, if you want to see like what we know that show today.
If you're looking for sports entertainment,
there we go.
TNT.
Right.
And if you want some work rate, you turn on NXT. If you want meaty men slapping meat, all right, you turn on TNT.
And that's nothing against either one. But I think for the most part, we're split down the middle. I've had my ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of when I'm really in love with AEW. And right now I'm really in love with NXT. So if I had to answer that right now, I am super in love with NXT. Mike, I think you are super in love with AEW, if I could speak for you.
You did, not accurately. Sometimes I like a nice slice of BLT pizza. I think that's what AEW is. It's like not only is it pizza, it's got bacon bits and ranch on it, ranch dressing on the pizza. Like, wow, oh my God, I don't want to miss that. But if you turn on NXT, I think you get, like ants on a log. Like, oh man, I love ants on a log. Look at that. Celery, it's peanut butter, it's raisins. It's kind of good for you, But sometimes you want stuffed crust. So you kind of, oh man. Then sometimes you just kind of have both. And you simulcast with a couple of screens. So which one's better? Neither. It just depends on if you want stuffed crust pizza or raisins and peanut butter and celery. That's the official stance of me, I say.
Right, the guns off the back of your head, Mike. No,
I don't think we can really put too much into this next segment. But with our wrestling nuggies, as we're calling them now, Randy Orton had a 4th of July nightmare, took a firework right in the eyeball. I guess that, I don't know if the Fiend is going to come out red, white, and blue with, blueberry pies and a big American flag wrapped around his body. But, man, did he have his little minion fire a firework right into Randy Orton's eyeball. Matt,
that was the longest reaction shot. I feel like they were like, oh, Randy, we got 45 more seconds, man. We're going to go credits in 45 seconds.
That was Peter Griffin skinning his knee.
Mike, I am no stranger to the eye injuries. So for me, it was almost, the PTSD was setting in. I needed that segment to end so I could fall asleep that night. But
Randy Orton now, 2 years running, has the longest moaning segment in WWE. He had it against Edge in their weird moany groany match in the back when he's Oh, it's a deep burn. And now we get it again this year. Just 14 days into January, Randy Orton putting his bid in for longest groan of 2021.
Mike, I think
outstanding work.
We're moving into our own longest groan because we're our second week into the Ric Flair, Lacey Evans story. That Mike,
I'm about to set the big groan record because
you're naming this one David, which I gotta get a reminder on that because that would be a wonderful gift to have queued up. Instead, I've got cute little Bluey from. I need a David Rose Bluey. But Mike, this isn't for me. We were chatting with Wrestling Girls podcast, and it's just like I don't know why this is still a thing. And they were for it. So I'm not saying
those people are out there.
All right, yeah, I guess I'm saying they're wrong. There, I said it. But it just like. Why are we still mixing this old man? I threw out the SpongeBob gif of how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? I don't understand why he keeps coming. I mean, it'd be one thing, Mike, if this was the first time, but it's not. He's been around since day one when we saw her for the first time in that NXT match against Natalya. Like, it's done. That the steak is so. I mean, if we're gonna talk his face or if we're gonna talk the metaphor here, but that steak is overdone. We've been turning it over. You can only turn it once, Mike. You can only turn the steak once, and they've turned it 12 or 13 times. That thing's black on either side. There's no blood. There's no juice. There's no butter left in that pan, Mike. It's all cooked out. There's nothing. You tried to add Sasha Banks. Now, Mike, you're trying to add like Michigan zing sauce with Lacey Evans, and you know what? They don't have a good recipe. So I love this. I love this analogy, by the way. And another thing, if they had used a cast iron pan, no.
Oh boy, maybe a cast iron pan. I was gonna say no. Fred Willard making yet another cameo on the brothers of disruption. All right, here we go. Well, two of the great minds in the history of humankind here. Austrian neurologist Sigmund Freud, Matt. I think maybe Alfred Kinsey, the American biologist. Both these great sexual minds, both of them would be quite stumped to see. What are the implications of Ric Flair fetishizing a woman who looks identical to his daughter? My God, what does that say about him as a person? I don't know. There's a lot to unpack. I don't know if a wrestling podcast is prepared to explain how we come to, fall for and be attracted to people who look like our relatives. My God, I feel especially uncomfortable for poor Charlotte, who has to see her dad pine after someone who could be her doppelganger, Matt.
Now, our new buddy, Steve Fosterling, says Lacey Evans with Ric Flair is a match made in heaven. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to call you C. What you forgot to do was put the /S to say that you're being sarcastic. I think that's what you forgot to put on there because I don't get it. It's not a match made in heaven for me because this again is another push of this idea that Charlotte can't get a story over by herself. And this goes back to when she was inserted into the triple threat match at WrestleMania when it was Rousey and Becky and Charlotte. And I made the argument at the time, you have a huge talent that could run her own campaign, run her own story. She could go out there by herself and just say, somebody come out here and fight me. And that would be, Mike, I'm not kidding. That would be a banger of a segment. I think we'd all fall in love with that if she came out week after week without a set partner. I'm just saying that is the level of talent she has. So to say that, I
want to throw a free plug to one of our favorite comedians, Eugene Merman, because every time I see this Ric Flair, Lacey Evans, Charlotte love triangle, I'm reminded of this joke that Merman tells where he was in New York and he saw Ace Frehley at a party, and he had his arm around this young girl, and we've come to find out it's Ace's daughter. And Eugene Merman didn't know what to say to Ace, and he saw them leaving the party, and he just yelled out to Ace, "Don't fuck your daughter!" And he saw Ace turn around, and you could see it kind of cross his face, and Eugene goes, it's like Ace was trying to process, did somebody else say that to me? Or is that just my own inner monologue? So when you see Rick, don't fuck your daughter, you want to, hope we clear the air for him there.
That's steamed out to the point, I think. I mean, we're both running out of gas, just like the old man is. Like, this is something that I don't know if this is still about Ric Flair getting time on TV, or if this is Charlotte and her dad getting time to work together. If that was the case, I'm cool with it. But I don't know. I feel like they could still have, time together, and I never have to see his wrinkly old butt ever again.
Yeah, like we talk about it, like it's just wrestling. It's just a circus, and there's all sorts of different acts. And I guess the Ric Flair one is world's oldest man still wrestles. So in some capacity, they're trying to get you all geared up for the Royal Rumble. And my God, we might have to have people bow out because of COVID. So this really might be a nightmare. So I think they're just all hands on deck. Bring in Hogan, bring in Ric Flair, bring in the Boogeyman, bring them all back. We got to save the show. Speaking of saving the show, Matt, another wrestling nugget here is Nakamura booked to the moon. Matt, there's so much wrestling every week. Can you explain to the beautiful people what you mean? What did we miss on SmackDown last Friday?
Mike, Nakamura was involved in the I Get a Shot at Roman Reigns gauntlet match. And instead of just being like the one and out, I mean, Nakamura ran the table. I mean, this is something for Nakamura. I feel like we haven't seen this Nakamura since before his WrestleMania match against AJ Styles. So we're saying everything from post nut punch till this past Friday has been, maybe the tag titles was good, maybe the IC title, like it kind of bumped up, but they haven't made Nakamura look this strong since, again, before WrestleMania, before we were leading up to what we thought was going to be the greatest WrestleMania title match ever. And then, of course, it again was pretty good, but it wasn't anything that, I know for you and I, we don't talk about, when we talk about greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, we don't bring that one up. No. We still go over the Undertakers and the Shawn Michaels, and it's I don't know if travesty is too strong of a word, because we're talking pro wrestling, and sometimes you just don't get what you want. But it's not something that we expected to ever see them in the ring together again at a WrestleMania after that. So that's where it's a bummer. That's where it's like, all right, this was our one shot to get this, and it definitely didn't go the way we wanted. And it still was great. It just wasn't. It wasn't what we thought we were gonna get. So this,
I think we wanted him to get the Asuka treatment, win the Rumble, be a multiple time champion, hold it forever. And it doesn't really feel like he got his his moment out in the limelight. The universal dream.
I think the interesting conversation from here is, what do we do with Nakamura next? Is it just something where that happened, and just like when Dolph Ziggler was winning Survivor Series matches, like it's not like it resulted in him getting a bunch of championship matches. He just got elevated for a couple of weeks on like Raw and SmackDown, and then he disappeared again. So I kind of hope that this means something. And I know our next segment is Rumble picks. So there's my tease for what I'm kind of hoping this is going to turn into. But I mean, that's it. That's like we were having our COVID conversation. It's like, that's fine. We can make our jokes. We can make our hot takes or whatever the segment is now. It's about what happens next. And, to go back to C. Fosterling's question about which is better, AEW or NXT. It's always going to be about like when we look back 10 years later, which one was better, because everything we see even with the Bullet Club right now, with Kenny Omega, it's exciting. But what's the end game going to be? Like, that's where, even if it's a huge Hollywood film like the Marvel movies and we watch Endgame, that was a great ending. That was a great story from start to finish. It wasn't perfect. It's not anything that, we know it didn't win any Academy Awards, but I'm always going to look back at that and share it with my kids and say, this is one of the greatest cinematic adventures I've ever taken. Are we going to be able to do that when the Bullet Club story or the, the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega thing ends? So again, just to kind of continue that thought, is this Nakamura thing going to result in something bigger than it just being a good night on the gauntlet match? And guys like me going, oh my God, Nakamura won again! And, it ended the way it ended. At the time, I was pretty upset because I think we all kind of knew Adam Pearce was going to win. But then you're still thinking like, oh, my God, what if this is just to punish Adam Pearce and then Nakamura and Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble? What a match. Yeah. But no, it's not how it turned out. But, we're still like, that's it. Again, I just get stopped at the same point. It's the same thing where it's exciting at the time. It's exciting to say, oh my gosh, out of everyone they chose to kind of push up that night, they chose Nakamura. So what do they do next? I know we've been hurt before. So if I was to sit here and make a prediction, that's the direction it's going to go. But I don't know how you feel.
Well, Matt, I think it was a weekly episodic SmackDown. We turned the page. Sorry. Nakamura. He's not going to win again, Matt. It's, it's Roman Reigns time now. Not Shin, you had your turn, all right? You're out. Matt, did I buy the t-shirt? Do I own the King of Strong Style book autographed? Yes, I do. Do I make this face sometimes? Yes, I do, as an ode to Shinsuke. But I think it was just a Friday. This maybe it'll get him on Great Balls of Fire, in February. But I don't think he's going to be getting a main event spot.
Andre with the awesome question, Mike. Is Shinsuke a face or a heel after that? Or I guess during that match is Andre's question. I think, Andre, I think when the handshake happened with Daniel Bryan, that was it right there. I think we're getting that. And he started pushing away from Sami Zayn, which I think was helping get Nakamura started in the face direction. But I think we're getting face Nakamura moving forward from this moment.
Now, like best case scenario, we get Shinsuke versus Roman at WrestleMania. But, Shinsuke is not going to win the Royal Rumble. That's we're going to do those Rumble picks right now, I think. Gonna do a little segue, Matt. So every week we're leading up, we kind of get the feelies like, oh, I think she's gonna win. I think he's gonna win. I don't know. It's just kind of the way the wind blows, Matt. Has your picks, have they evolved at all? Have your picks evolved at all for the men's and women's Royal Rumble?
I wouldn't say there's anything to suggest. Last week, how many people did we pick? I'd say for the women's Rumble, the same. 3 names are still on my mind. It's still Bianca. It's still Charlotte. It's still Rhea Ripley. Nothing's happened to shake those 3 names. I think.
I
like Wrestling Forever's thrown out there. Bobby Lashley or AJ Styles. I'm gonna say I'm still sticking with Big E. And like I said, Mike, how many years? This would be 4 years in a row that I picked the Royal Rumble winner in November. If I get Big E right. So this would be 4 years in a row. This year was Big E. I picked him. I'm still sticking with Big E. I feel like I got to run that 4-year thing.
I felt really good about McIntyre last year. There was nobody else more deserving. That was a good one. I don't think that they want Big E winning their big event in the COVID year. I think they're gonna do the most WWE choice possible. I think it might be Lesnar. I'd brace yourself for Lesnar. I'd brace yourself for a John Cena return. I would not put a single penny on Big E, and I love him to death. And I wouldn't put it on Nakamura. I would put it on Brock Lesnar or Cena, because I think they want to try and book some over the top, one of our transcendent superstars for WrestleMania.
So let's back up.
I don't think Big E is that controversial a pick. That would just kind of be like, oh, cool.
I just want to throw it back to Wrestling Forever. Throwing out there Bobby Lashley. I think that
is a much more likely pick than Big E.
That would be fun because I want to see MVP taking Bobby Lashley to the main event at WrestleMania. I think that would be a blast. We
arguably got a face win last year, so maybe they go a heel. And I think if Big E won, that would be like, cool. If Bobby Lashley won, I think people would be like, holy fuck almighty. Just because he's never gotten a chance. The only thing I can think of him doing at WrestleMania is being there for Donald Trump. So maybe this is it finally comes full circle. Trump is out of office now, and so Bob gets his big shot. I don't think people would complain, and I think it would still be a good story, and I think you could still be like, boo, he's a heel. He's definitely got the physique. He's definitely got the mouthpiece now, a la, Lesnar. So, we know that, doing elongated WWE, theatrical speeches, that's not his strength. His strength is that he's he's cut, man. He's cut. He's huge. He makes the power moves look good, and now he's really developing that furrowed brow. Now he's Mean Bob. So I think Mean Bob winning the Royal Rumble, Matt, easily talked me into that. So I'm putting him in my 3 with Cena and Lesnar.
Man, all right.
I don't want them. We're picking. We're not picking our favorites. We're picking the favorite to win.
Andre's there too. He thinks it's Lashley's time, and I don't know if this was a typo, but I'm definitely calling Matt Riddle Matt Riffle from now on because he said he enjoyed watching him beat the brakes off of Riddle on Raw. Seriously,
because he keeps doing the pothead gimmick. We call him like Matt Ruffles, like sour cream and cheddar.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. I gotta say, like I can't. That's why I wanted to come back to Wrestling Forever's comment about Bobby Lashley. Like it just works, and it works from every aspect. I can't vote against it. But Cody here, our new buddy, he switched from Twitter on over to YouTube. So welcome, Cody. I hope Wrestling Forever and Cody, I hope you guys will hit the subscribe button. But Cody with the mic, he's got the pick. Slapjack. Look, he's going to be representing for the crowd that wants to make sure you're wearing a mask and keeping 6 feet apart. That is the representative the WWE needs right now to be going on Conan and speaking to those late night talk show hosts so that he can go on there with his mask and say, "I've been." No, that was a good pick, Cody. I hope you're right. I hope you'll be involved in some of that sports betting, and you'll throw some cash down for Slapjack because you'll be walking away with probably $250,000. Whatever you put down.
I think we might get our Dijakovic and Lee encounter finally at the Royal Rumble. But Matt, we got to pick for the women. I'm going to go first here. I think it would be pretty shocking to not see Rhea Ripley get her call up because that NXT, that women's division, there's too many. There's too many big fish in that little pond. And I think it's time for Ripley to kind of run the show up in the big leagues. I think she's my top pick. I don't have Charlotte up there like you do. I think they kind of want to kind of run the gamut of the rest of the 4 horsewomen. So what I would say is Ripley, our beloved Bailey, ding dong, and number 3. Things have been real quiet. All right. AJ Styles came out of nowhere. Edge came out of nowhere. Matt, number 3, Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, shit. I forgot all about
She's
that.
been off the map for a while. I can see this company wanting to get a big old popski, and I think Tessa, if she doesn't win, I'd honestly be surprised at this point if she's not our secret entrant this year.
I don't know how I feel about that because I know she had
Matt. Yep. Everything you're about to, you don't even have to say. We have two of those gentlemen currently employed who may have similar feelings.
Right.
We're just, ladies and gentlemen, just alluding to, there was accusations made against Tessa having some pretty rotten things to say to other people in the locker room, but she said those weren't true. So, what are we going to do with that? I don't know. I mean, WWE still brings Hulk Hogan around. We know what he's confirmed to have said. Elias has a sidekick with, some questionable things in his background as well. And then we got our buddy, the yellow porn star. So I don't know.
If Wrestling Forever threw out there that Tessa's rumored to be Xia Li's mystery masked person up at the top of the.
See, I don't see that just because I think she's a bigger deal than being a puppet master for Xia.
You think she'd go straight to the main roster?
Absolutely.
Now, a guy like Jay White, oh man, he's made. I'm just kidding. I know. Everybody thinks they're.
Man, you gotta top. What do you got for your three? What are your feelings this week for the women? What do you got?
Oh, I guess what I said at the top, I still stick with is I haven't seen anything to change me. Like, here's they do like to pull away a little bit. I feel like it's not every year, but they have pulled away from like whoever's going to win the Rumble doesn't always get that spotlight leading into the Rumble. So if it's somebody that can sneak in, that's a definite possibility. So again, from a week-to-week basis, they could just be building inside the Rumble storylines. So I'm going to still stick with where I started. I'm still sticking with Bianca. I'm still sticking with Charlotte. And I'm still sticking with Rhea Ripley. I would say right now, because it's going to be pretty tough to get Charlotte and Ripley. There's a lot of moving pieces to make that a repeat WrestleMania match where they could actually just go at it, no problem. Charlotte and Rhea just meet at the Rumble, and then they'll meet at WrestleMania, and there won't be a title involved. Like I said, Charlotte doesn't need a title attached to her to have an interesting match. So go that route, and that leaves Bianca Belair. Cody's got Rousey. Cody, you mother.
What? Oh, Ronda? Okay.
Yeah, Cody's got Rousey.
Yeah. That's not that, too far-fetched, I'd say. I mean, you could almost feel like, is Becky Lynch going to come back? You never know. It's the Royal Rumble. You never know who's going to come back, and they could do something safe where she doesn't have to, be the Iron Woman. She could just do a couple of kicks and tumble over the top for some reason.
It has to be said too. Like they're going to be in one spot, Mike, for however long we know. I mean, it would be so easy for her to still be a mother in that one area that they're going to be taping shows. Win the Rumble, go to WrestleMania. Like if any year was possible, I'm not predicting she's coming, but for anybody that would say she just gave birth, she's not coming. Like it's all up to her. It's if she wanted to do it, I would support her 1,000%. As I'm sure, the person who matters more would be Seth Rollins would support her 1,000%. And like I said, if there was an easiest year to do it, it's this year. Boom. Yeah. Boom goes the dynamite. Mike, Matthew McConaughey has interest. Oh, wait, did you go through your women?
Yes.
Okay. Mike, Matthew McConaughey has interest in the WWE. As we were talking about the Royal Rumble and Nakamura and talking about Ric Flair and Lacey, I just kept thinking, I don't want to talk about this anymore. So I thought, if there's anything you want to say, when you go through like the transcript of the interviews, he doesn't even seem too enthused about it. I just think, I don't know. It just felt like clickbait at this point. And I can't believe that the WWE is all over national media because Matthew McConaughey said Yeah, I talked to The Rock about it. It interests me. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, is he going to be a man? Okay, let me back up. Let's
Can
play
we just can we
best case scenario.
Listen, Mr. McConaughey. Listen, we loved you in True Detective when you said time is a flat circle. Right? Now, can you say it again, but say time is a squared circle? Huh?
Oh,
Because a wrestling ring, my man. All right. Woo, Magic Mike. Woo. Remember Diesel? He was in that movie. Diesel couldn't dance for shit. Woo.
If there's any reason to watch that movie, it's to watch Diesel in the back while everybody's doing their hot cop moves. And
yeah, Matt and I were like, "Excuse me, I want to see what Diesel's got back there." And then he's like, you can see him counting 1, 2, 3, 4.
There had to be whoever the director was for that film was like, what the flying
man?
Is he again?
We could have had Val Venus. This is bullshit. Oh man, we're so far into production, we can't cut Diesel. He's like 8 feet tall. Fuck.
Who cast him to do that? He had one job: not speak and dance. 2 jobs. Sorry.
No.
You can't count.
Where was Val
I had
Venus?
one job in that. I had to count.
Where was Val? Where was Val? All right.
Mike,
no, it's every time there's like a famous wrestling fan, it makes news. And I think usually we don't care. Like, ugh, why is Snooki on my TV? Man, sometimes it's Pee Wee Herman. And this time it was Matthew McConaughey. So, you know.
Could Matthew McConaughey
beat Pee Wee Herman?
With his abilities to act, could you believe him as a manager or like the manager of Raw or SmackDown in that role?
I got to tell you, one of my maybe he could be a manager. I think people would approve. But one thing you got to look at, and that everybody, I'm gonna get the name and share it on our Twitter. But there's a guy who in WWE Create a Wrestler made a bunch of celebrities. So you get to see like Michael Jackson beat people up in a Royal Rumble, and it's fantastic. I can't wait to share it. Anyway, Matt, we're past the 40-minute mark here, and we're gonna try and wrap this up inside of an hour. So, without further ado, we're gonna jump into the Wednesday Night Wars.
I still got. I got to take the date off that. It still says August 19th on there.
Oh man. Full games. All right, as usual, we here's our format here. Matt gets NXT. I get AEW. We basically pick the top 3 moments of each show, and as per usual, there is a dishonorable mention. Oh no, you don't want to be a part of that, but it is it's fun for us. So, Matt, before we do the picks, we're gonna subjectively pick which was the better show. Just eyeballing the 2 cards.
Yeah, I mean, easily NXT this week.
I can't like looking at grizzled young vets, Xia Li, Adam Cole, and Roddy Strong, like even 5 of my favorite human beings.
Even the matches that aren't making it into my top 3 this week could easily be fighting for like a top 2 spot. Like this is.
I think
this was a great NXT show.
I think AEW probably had match of the week, and we'll get to that one in a second, but it didn't feel enough of consequence. And I think that next week there's going to be some more stuff of consequence, but I'm going to give the win to NXT. So I think I have to go first this week.
Yeah.
All right. All
right. Let me grab
in your face.
Mike, your number 3 segment for the Wednesday Night War.
Yeah, well, usually I come up with an acronym. So you have to come up with one for AEW that's not All Elite Wrestling. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm going to confess I missed what you said, and then you waited for me.
I said you need to come up with an acronym for AEW, Matt. Stop watching hockey on the other screen. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Always eating weenies. All right.
Speaking of dishonorable mention, good Lord. Moment number 3 was the continuing of the invasion of Impact wrestlers. Admittedly, it is only the same 2 wrestlers who keep invading, but poor Danny Limelight, Pillman Jr., and Griff Garrison. Man, what a who's that of wrestling. I mean, Pillman Jr. is pretty key. And people were actually pretty excited about Danny Limelight. But they were going up against Kenny Omega and the Good Bros, who now they're the Buenos Hermanos, which I kind of like. Again, it's not necessarily that this was, one of those 5-star matches, Daddy. It's just that we're further meshing, melting pot these different wrestling promotions, right? Not making it so much about, that we have to be loyal to a certain wrestling promotion or company. We just be loyal to the wrestlers we like. So because this match feeds 100% into the Brothers of Discussion thesis about how to love and appreciate wrestling, love the artists. Don't, get away from the corporation. Don't fall for McDonald's. Just eat a Big Mac. Man, it was violent. It was the Good Bros doing a magic killer. Carl did a big kick that reminded me of Drew McIntyre's Claymore, but Carl, and he's always talking about his hot Asian wife. Maybe it was Carl's Katana. I don't know. That's what I'm going with. So, Matt, Carl's Katana, moment number 3 for me. Matt, moment number 3 for never exert turds. What do you got for us?
See, that's not fair. You get to plan your improv moments. I'm busy watching hockey. No, let's just got to throw this out there. Cody wanted us to pick AEW as the better show. It's got long term.
I tried, Cody. I really like the NXT card this week. I tried to pick AEW. I couldn't do it. Yeah,
if we were saying again, like we want to see a storyline start to finish, we'll grade it that way. But for the only fair way for us to do the Wednesday Night Wars, since we're going week by week, we have to grade which card was better week to week. And I totally agree with what direction Mike's going in, because I think I know what he's doing with what his number 1 segment will be. But my number 3 segment this week, I got to go back and pick my banner. Number 3 NXT segment. Mike, Everrise going down to who my pick is to win the Dusty Classic, the Grizzled Young Vets. If you want to talk, this is it, right? We're turning, Cody, we're turning this into sport. This is what we were told we were going to get from AEW. So I hope you see where my love of this Dusty Classic is coming in and why it's my number 3 moment. Why we're going to kind of push this NXT card over the full card over the AEW card. But Mike, this is a great demonstration of it's not just tag team wrestling to the point of it being existing. And this was to actually I hope you'll, I don't know, Cody, I just it sounds like you do love AEW more than NXT, but what this match was kind of being more of the AEW tag team style. This was a lot of tag team moves. This is something where it wasn't just about making sure you tag a guy and we'll do singles wrestling till it's time to tag in the next guy. This was everything you want from a tag team match, and the Grizzled Young Vets do it the right way. And if they aren't the up and coming tag team of everything that has to do with pro wrestling, I don't know who is, because they've been doing some of the best work in the NXT UK. Mike, we take our shoes off to the man. Nobody else has that. And I tweeted out, it's time we put our shoes on, because Zach Gibson deserves it. But I think what they can put together from their tag team style, and I'm just you're gonna have to forgive me here, because I have it written down. But
here we go.
Mayhem, and what they do to line up a ticket to Mayhem is just beautiful, and I could watch that all day. And the mad scramble at the end of the match was a joy too. But ultimately, the reason that this is my number 3, Mike, is because it's the Grizzled Young Vets. I like to mix in my own personal flavor into how I roll out my top 3. And shoot, you're going to see that when my number 2 rolls out. Mike, I think you know who's coming up at number 2. But easily number 3 is going to be my favorite tag team in pro wrestling right now, getting the win with a hell of a tag team match in a fun tournament.
Well, ideally, Enzo and Cass, right, were two huge debuts on Monday Night Raw, and they come out and cut their "you can't teach that." And I really think that Zach Gibson and James Drake, soon to be your Monday Night Raw tag team champions with Liverpool's number one. I wish, God, I want that to take off so bad, and the whole, United States crowd to really embrace them like we do. Man, big marks for those guys. But that makes us, we're going to move into moment number 2 for each show. Matt, FTR doing battle against Jurassic Express with no dinosaur. My God. Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt were out there. And I think immediately Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and JR, when he was paying attention, really tried to sell how difficult it was going to be for Jurassic Express, who AEW bills is, number 2 tag team right now, to overcome without the dinosaur in the ring, in the Luchasaurus. So really what this was, FTR did get the win, but it was a showcase for Marco Stunt. This guy who, we're going to talk about another guy who's, barely 100 pounds soaking wet here in a minute, but the bumps this guy eats are just ferocious. If you want to talk about a love and a passion for wrestling, look no further than Marco Stunt, who made FTR look like $1 trillion. Jungle Boy looks like he's, one day going to be running All Elite Wrestling with how talented that guy is. It was one of those solid, back and forth affairs where, Marco wasn't just out there for the hot tags, for Jungle Boy. He actually got some offense in. He got his little, it's almost like a version of Brian Kendrick's sliced bread, but it's almost like a cutter that he drops. It was thoroughly entertaining. The right team went over, and ultimately just, another reminder of what a just wrestling soldier I would consider Marco Stunt to be. So bless him for doing all that damage to his body for our entertainment. Thank you, Marco. You had a hell of a show. Matt, moment number 2 for next Extra Time Wrestling. What do you got?
I've got the Gargano and Dexter Lumis match, Mike. I can't go any other way. I love me some. Oh, we got a comment here from Brent Rodriguez. Well put on Marco Stunt, Mike. But I've got to. I've got to throw in my Dexter Lumis catches because it seems like for the longest time we were just waiting for him to get back in the ring. We don't know if we're talking injuries, if we're talking COVID. So he's back in the ring now, and Mike, it was a wild ride. It was a fun match where we saw Gargano come out hot, and Dexter Lumis really turned it on. It's really like we saw what Dexter Lumis can be, and when he really gets his push, it's going to be so much fun. Because we talked about it before, where he's got sort of, he doesn't have the presence of the Undertaker, but it's something similar where he stalks his prey and he's ready to take them down for the victory. Yeah. It's just you feel it, and the way that the guys in the ring play it off is they're actually scared of him. Gargano was in that same realm. But yeah, we've got, I mean, this line of the spine busters, the bulldogs, the slingshot suplexes, and then it's just like time to kill Gargano. But that's when Austin Theory got involved and everything went against Dexter Lumis at that point. It's fine for me because what I see is Kushida gets involved afterwards to help Dexter. And we're either getting, we are getting some tag team wrestling going forward to kind of push this narrative another couple of weeks. I'm guessing that this is going to turn into some sort of triple threat. If I had to take a stab at it definitely before a Fatal 4-Way, something where Gargano probably wants it to be a triple threat so Austin can get involved again to help him win. But ultimately, Mike, this is another win for Matt because if I'm guessing that we're getting a triple threat for the NA title, I'm getting a triple threat, Mike, involving Johnny Gargano and 2 of my favorites on NXT of Kushida and Dexter Lumis. So, again, selfishly, I don't know how this segment could happen, and it doesn't make it into my top 3.
I just like whenever Lumis cracks your top 3, your Freudian slips about, man, I was getting all hot, and I was feeling it. He's looking good. I'm a Dexter Mark as well. I'm a big fan of his work. But
I've got my Mike. I don't quite enjoy all of the Dexter shirts available. So again, even though today is the first game the Red Wings have played in 10 months, I decided to go because I know it's wrestling night. I went with my Henley, my
your Loomis Henley. You're gonna have to, like the Sami Zayn T-shirt with just the hand-drawn ink pen. You're just gonna have to make like a little Loomis or something in the middle. But that brings us, Matt, to our dishonorable mentions. Good Lord, it's I hate that it's so easy to pick every week, but AEW's refusal to give the women a storyline. It's the dishonorable mention. Was there any doubt? I'm not going to not mention it because we did get to see Serena Deeb defend the NWA Women's Strap against Tay Conti, and this is a good match. Actually got a commercial. AEW going to give you that great experience where you can watch a Hot Pocket commercial and ladies wrestle at the same time. This is AEW. Oh, thanks, JR. I love Hot Pockets. But look, there's wrestling on. Anyway, they tried to force feed Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, Cody with just a literal smorgasbord schmaz of women just throwing slaps and elbows, and my beloved Red Velvet was out there for a quick cameo, but I don't get it, Matt. It's clockwork every week, roughly at 9:20 Eastern time on Wednesdays. The women get their one promo and their one match. So if you want to watch women's wrestling on TNTs, you turn in at 9:20 and you turn it off at 9:26. But that brings us to moment number one. So it's, I don't know what it's going to take. They're going to do Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. If that doesn't get them to change the format a little bit, I don't know what will. But moment number one, I called him a soldier, Marco Stunt. Matt, years ago, and in a Royal Rumble, no less, we saw the three faces of Mick Foley. He came out as Dude Love, Cactus Jack, and Mankind. Matt, I bring it up because these guys, the way they just annihilate them, their bodies for our entertainment. The only thing I can compare it to is like a hazing video on the Brazzers website, because Darby Allin, my God, it was a hazing if you've ever seen a hazing. It looked like a kid wrapped in a duffel bag and the other mean bullies were hitting him with baseball bats. That's the kind of damage this guy took from Brian Cage. It's not just that Brian Cage threw him around or suplexed him. He did throw him around. He did suplex him. And then he threw him outside the ring. Then he threw him through a table outside the ring. And then he threw him out of the steel outside of the ring. And Darby just kept coming back. So the storyline of this match is that Darby's a tough son of a bitch. He definitely sold that story. Ultimately, we got a little Sting cameo at the end because Brian Cage's buddies started interfering. So, Darby got to get the win, but Brian Cage gets to kind of lean on the excuse, but the Stinger, he kind of distracted me, and then I got rolled up and beat up sort of towards the end. But Brian Cage got to look like a world beater, Matt. But this David Goliath story was, one of the classic, formulas for professional wrestling. And both these guys really did their parts as the mighty Goliath. For Brian Cage, he looked unbeatable. And Darby, he just overcame these insurmountable odds to, retain his TNT championship. And the right person went over. It got close to being overbooked, but I think it was booked just enough to kind of propel that Darby Sting mentorship, Taz's buddies and FTW. And it was a thoroughly entertaining, 20-minute segment. So hats off to Darby. Man, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you get up the next morning. It had to be brutal doing one of those spots. To think he did easily 7 or 8 of those just mega damaging spots. Thank you. Awesome stuff. Matt, your dishonorable mention for NXT.
Yeah, and before we jump into that, Cody threw out, should NXT move to Tuesday or Thursday night? Now, Cody, I'm going to guess this is in reference to the fact that NXT just almost drew their record low number this past week. I would love for one of these shows to give up on this, and it should be NXT since AEW had the night first. I don't want it to be Thursday because that's when we record, selfishly, but it would make the most sense. It's something that for Impact Wrestling that also wants to get an audience, you wonder how much of that audience gets stolen from NXT being on Tuesdays. I mean, the jokes could go out there that they're, Impact's got their own thing, but it could really, I feel it could really hurt them to where AEW and NXT seem to have a pretty good footing with a pretty stable base week after week for how many people are going to tune into AEW, the 700,000 and then the 500 to close to 7 for NXT. And that's your normal numbers, right? And then every now and then they jump up and get close to 1 million. It would be nice to see what these shows could do if they were on different days. I think it would be better for those programs. I think it would be better for us as fans. Long and short, it probably makes the most sense to be Thursday. And then us, you know what? We're not recording on Thursdays anymore. So we're watching NXT. Mike, my dishonorable mention, let me pull up my little banner here before we get rolling. It's all going to roll into one because it's hard for me to say, did I not enjoy watching Xia Li squash the unnamed pro wrestler? No, that was an absolute blast. Mike, we got to meet MSK, who are Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz, the Rascals from Impact. Speaking of Impact. And then Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae teaming up to make sure Shotzi goes down again. All of that's gold. So the only thing that I was unhappy with was Breezango going down. Look, I mean, the thing of it is we're trying to build up the Undisputed Era and then Lorcan and Burch as tag champs. Pete Dunne came out and beat up Kyle, and then they threw Finn Balor down. So that's my number one segment, okay? All of this wrapping into what could be. This match was amazing. I just wish that the ending, so my dishonorable mention is just that the ending still could have been Breezango getting the win over Cole and Roddy Strong, but everything else is my number one. Does that sound weird? Is that dumb? I mean, I'll continue to explain and I'll pull up, why this is my number one segment.
I mean, usually, dishonorable mention is like a thing and, number one is a thing, but Matt just kind of put the entire card in his list, so that's Matt's feelings for next Extra Time Wrestling.
I mean, can you hear what I'm saying though, right? Like this all could have worked. This all still could have pushed whatever this feud is supposed to be with, Lorcan and Burch and Pete Dunne going against Undisputed Era and Finn Balor. Like this all could have worked and then comes outside of the Dusty Classic and eventually we see Breezango and the Grizzled Young Vets in the semifinal, and how much fun would that be for this side? Now I'm hoping I get to see Roddy and Cole against the Grizzled Young Vets. I think that would be amazing. But again, the casualty here is Breezango. I love those guys. I think they're some of the most underrated tag team wrestlers we have right now on all major pro wrestling options. So I'll just put it like that. I don't have a better way to put it. And it's just a bummer for me. But this is the number one segment because this is absolutely, for me, the best match I watched on Wednesday night. And then, Mike, we got a tease that I wish more people were talking about. I mean, Pete Dunne is making it look, because he took out Finn Balor and Kyle, and Finn Balor gets tossed to the side of the arena where Undisputed Era is, Mike.
Yeah.
Wednesday Night Wars could turn into the Bullet Club Wars. Now, again, I could be so coming out with this like so far from right field. Nobody else mentioned this yesterday except for me. I was the only one that was like, they're gonna have to work together to take down Pete Dunne. But
now is this excitement about the Bullet Club Wars, or do you just want credit for saying it first?
No, I'm actually worried that I really am so far off base that I missed something. Mike, you know that I like watching these on mute, so that could be that's where the fear comes in. But no, ultimately, what I saw was an amazing wrestling match, and then it followed up by pushing the storyline that Pete Dunne needs to get involved with this NXT championship. And it's just that much more intriguing to see that Finn Balor gets thrown over to the corner where Undisputed Era is, and where is he going to go next? Because he's not going to come begging for forgiveness from Pete Dunne. He's got another option, though. I want to see it happen. But yeah, I know that was confusing. Mike, you didn't like it. You think I cheated?
No,
there.
I think I thought that was your best point of the night yesterday when you were tweeting about that, because I don't think that was an accident at all. The Good Brothers switch sides, and all of a sudden, you might get Finn Balor hanging out with Adam Cole and the boys. So I don't think that was off base at all. I thought that was an astute observation, and we'll just kind of see how WWE plays it from here.
And everybody, thanks for tuning in on this episode. Thanks for the questions. Sorry, I don't think we got to everything. I don't think we were able to throw out all the Royal Rumble predictions, but we do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you could, right now, if you're hanging around, go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Brothers of Discussion. You won't miss another episode. Like we've been saying all along, I mean, this show keeps growing. It keeps getting bigger. The conversation keeps getting stronger. So we want to hear more from everybody else out there. So you subscribe, and we can talk to you next week too. So that'll be every Thursday around this time, around 8 o'clock. We're going to be going live. Find us at bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com to keep up with short little ditties and thoughts that go along with the podcast episodes. And of course, you can find us every night that there's wrestling at BOD Podcast on Twitter to follow along with the conversation. We'd love to have you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Mike, I think it's time we sail off into the sunset.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, Bugenhagen watch. Did you figure it out?
No, Mike. See, when you make the segment, you go figure it out.
You had the math. You'd crunch the numbers. Crunch them again. Crunch them.
What?
Matt, crunch them.
This is. Oh my god.
What? Just crunch them, Matt. Crunch them. What? Give us a number. How long has it been since we saw Bugenhagen?
All right. Do you really want this to be dead air till I figure it out?
No, you can just guess, Matt. Nobody's paying attention but us. Bugenhagen. How long's it been?
Let me pull
Matt,
this up.
hurry!
When's the last time I wrote it?
Matt!
It's been a while.
This is the part of the song where it breaks down. Why do we wear this frown? Oh, we missed you. It's been too long, and what they do with my Bugenhagen? Oh, wow! He's got beautiful hair. His guitar is made out of air.
All right, let me end the goddamn show.
All right, end it, Matt.
1,073 days since this man debuted.
From Milwaukee, Wisconsin, weighing in at 240 pounds, Eric Bugenhagen.
Oh, bless you for finding that clip. Bless you, Matt.
Hopefully,
Boots!
I
Come back to us.
don't put too much credence in that number. I'm not sure. That was pretty rough.
That's what I wanted. That's okay. Books, where are you? You're like Wilson out in the ocean. Books! Books! And he's just floating away. Boogan! Oh, Boogan! Bugenhagen! No! Oh. Why? Why? You started Bugenhagen Watch. What are you, cooler than this now? Come on, man.
I'm not. I had to play it off to where Matt's head was. All right, everybody.
Oh, all right. This has been Michael and Wet Blanket here, the Brothers of Discussion. See you guys.